Hey, what's up YouTube? Redbird here, back with another New World video. Today, I wanted to talk about the Void Gauntlet Life Staff build. I think it's going to be the best build or weapon combination for healers moving forward. I know a lot of healers are a little bit concerned with the nerfs that happened, or supposed nerfs, but I'm going to walk you guys through the changes, the new build, and all the rationale behind all the choices. So, hopping right in here, you will see, first and foremost, we are in light armor now. As you know, with the new patch, healers will get a 30% bonus to healing in light armor. Now, I know a lot of people are concerned about the nerfs to healing output on a lot of the abilities, but that is more than made up for in the light armor perk. Now, yes, you aren't going to be able to run around and be a tanky boy that can take all of the damage, but I think you'll see with this healing output, you're basically invincible. Still, we do have the 4 light, 1 medium, and that medium is in your chest piece setup. It's just important to remember to, maximize the amount of resistances you can get, and by having the medium chest piece, you do so. The jeweler, this is all basically like standard stuff from the PTR. But if you look at this chart I put together for perk priority, you can see what you're looking for on your best rolls. First and foremost, on the armor, you're going to look for Revitalizing Beacon. Increases healing power on self, but I think the main life staff perk you're looking for is Fortifying Sacred Ground. That basically applies Fortified to anyone who gets healed by Sacred Ground. Very powerful defensive ability. Obviously helps you survive as well as your teammates if they were in their Sacred Ground, which is a very, very powerful heal to begin with. So obviously you want this perk as well. So generally, though, you are looking for Refreshing, just cooldown reduction, always good, especially for healing, to have your cooldowns up. And then Resilient. Resilient is for PvP specifically, but crit resistance is very important. If you're new to PvP, this basically will normalize the damage you're taking, prevent spike damage from crits that could potentially kill you in one shot. That reduction can be very significant when you're trying to survive, especially in light armor. Jewelry, you're going to go for the Divine perk on your amulet. It's going to be important. Again, you're going to be in your heals a lot in light armor, trying to stay alive. So you want the increased healing. You want the increased survivability there, especially in PvP. The earring, you're looking for Refreshing Toast. Now, Refreshing Toast is basically, I think, best in slot for any build on the earring, but specifically for your mana users. Healer obviously falls into that category because you get reduced cooldowns over 25% on your healing and mana potions. So you will be able to pop these quite a bit more with this perk, and very, very important to keep those pots on cooldown if you need them. The ring, you're going to need Sacred. Now, Sacred is a must. You have to have the outgoing healing increase. It's just, why wouldn't you want more healing as a healer? Probably enough said there, but again, you really, really, really need a Sacred ring. Or there's no better perk on a ring than Sacred for a healer. Next, you're going to go into your general jewelry stats. You can look for Hardy. Hardy is something that I really prefer in light armor because it's going to allow you to double dodge without going out of stamina. Now, this is important because you don't have to have that little stutter that most people do when you're trying to double dodge. With 100 stamina, you basically have to wait for the regen to start before you can dodge again. But with Hardy, you can double dodge out of trouble, out of bad areas, away from enemies. I think it's very, very good in light armor. And then, of course, Brilliant. Having increased max mana is also very good. For your weapon perks, for the Void Gauntlet, you're going to look for Nullifying Oblivion. Now, this is a very powerful ability, specifically in PvP, but it can be used in PvE as well. It removes buffs from enemies. So this is, again, any buffs that your enemies have on them, such as, Fortify, your empowered abilities. These are going to remove those. So very, very good. I think there might be a bug actually in the game that removes food buffs as well. So I don't think that's intended. But right now, again, on your Void Gauntlet, I think specifically for this build, we're not using Scream. The Scream perk that they have in the game is very, very powerful. It actually puts disease, a very potent amount of disease on your enemy. So if for some reason we're flexing out Scream as an ability, you definitely would prioritize that over nullifying Oblivion. But for this build, you want nullifying Oblivion on your Void Gauntlet. And then, of course, we're looking at Life Staff. You're going to get Blessed. Blessed got nerfed, which should tell you something that they you know, if they nerfed a perk that much and it's still good, I mean, you definitely want it. 20% more healing is insane. And then again, you start to add up these percentages, guys, and you're going to be doing a literal butt ton of healing, and that's what we want here with this build. We're at 250 focus, 200 con. You do get a little bit of an armor increase, but again, just helping your hit point pool as a healer, since we're in light armor, is going to be good. You know, we're at about 10k health. I think that's a decent benchmark, especially for a healer. I don't really think that the passive on focus is worth getting at 300. Obviously, it's just a worse version of the Fire Staff passive. Reheat's terrible, and it turns out a half version of Reheat is also bad, so we're not going to pick that. 250 I think is fine. 30 men on any self or group kill is very valuable in PvE. It can be valuable in PvP too. Obviously, people are dying. Just replenish your mana pool. This build does not have any mana issues, but having 250 focus to buff your heals a little bit is great as well. So I think this is a pretty good, or you know, a standard stat split for this build. You'll have 50 more to toy with in max level gear. You kind of choose your flavor of whatever you want to do. Do you want to have a little bit more healing, or do you feel like you want to push to the Constitution, the 250 Constitution, which I think is probably the better of the two, obviously better of the two benchmark perks when you're looking at this. So, you know, 250 con is great. If you want a little bit more healing, just go 300 focus. I think that's fine too. So there's your attributes. We have our weapon, covered our gear and attributes. Let's look over the mastery skill trees. Right here is our life staff build, kind of going through the reasoning or rationale behind these choices. Let's go with our active abilities. We do have Sacred Ground, the most powerful life staff ability. There's no reason to go further into this. It's just a very, very strong AoE heal. Also buffs all your other healing, so very good. Mana and stamina regen for your teammates that stand inside of there. And of course, dude, 50% more healing is just nuts. So you definitely want Sacred Ground. The next one I went with is, of course, Beacon, probably the second best ability on the life staff. You get the projectile with the weapon damage to enemies. We don't really care about the weapon damage, obviously, but we do care about the AoE healing. We can attach it to the boss as in PvE situations. We can attach it to, you know, whatever the primary target is on the point, or on a PvP situation. And an open world, I mean, if you're 1v1ing or 1v2ing, you just attach it to one of your enemies. Bada bing, bada boom. You're doing great. You can even put it on the floor. It doesn't really matter. Beacon's area is now 50% larger. Just helps with obviously the effectiveness of the heal. And then Beacon lasts 5 seconds longer. Again, these are just buffing the already strong ability of Beacon. We see we didn't take this. Who cares about the haste ability? You know, obviously 20% haste is not going to get you out of CC. And that's what we really care about. You know, running 20% faster is rarely beneficial in PvP unless you're, you know, some sort of kiting build, and we are not that. So moving on to Light Embrace is the third ability that we're taking. I just think it's important as a healer. I know this is kind of a flex ability for most people, but I think it's important as a healer to have a single target heal. Just kind of bails you out of bad situations sometimes. I know the targeting system in New World isn't ideal, but Light's Embrace is just a very powerful ability. If any buff is on your target, you're going to get 30% more healing. I've seen this thing heal for an insane amount of healing Light's Embrace is by far the best single target heal, and I really do feel like it's the best ability to kind of fill out your active abilities on the life staff. Of course, you get to heal target with Light Embrace. That target gains 25% stamina. Very good in PvP. Just helps your target, you know, be able to dodge out of any bad positions or anything. PvE, you can also use it for your tank to help them, you know, keep their block up. I mean, it's just a great passive, so that's why I went ahead and moved down that far. And then, of course, when you heal a target with Light's Embrace, gain 2% of your max mana for each buff is on your target. I mean, you know, again, a lot of buffs that can happen in group play situations. You can get 10% of your mana back from this. It isn't that expensive of an ability to cast initially anyways. It's 18 mana, so you might even get this down. I think it's pretty realistic to get this down to like an 8 mana cost or a 10 mana cost with each heal. And the cooldown is a non-factor. It's a 4-second cooldown. You have a lot of ways to reduce our cooldowns on the life staff. So, dude, you're going to be popping off Light's Embrace basically all the time. It's going to be basically an instant cooldown. So I think it's a great ability overall to round out your heals. So here we go. You just have this classic trio. Just makes your heavy attack and your light attacks healing abilities or cleansing abilities. You definitely want to take Absolved, obviously, to get started in the tree anyways, but these two just make your light and heavy attack something you can do for your teammates. You know, you're not going to want to do a lot of damage. You're not going to do a lot of damage with the life staff. So this kind of makes your light and heavy attack effective between cooldowns. Desperate Speed, just a great ability. I mean, it was very, very powerful before they put the trigger only 5 seconds, but it's still really, really good. I definitely recommend Desperate Speed. Revitalize, you hit a life attack, or if you hit with a life attack, reduce life staff ability cooldowns by 5%. Again, you know, if you're not popping off a cooldown, or if everybody's topped off and you don't feel like you need to do much, you can just light attack and get those abilities back and ready to go. Obviously, Sacred Ground and Beacon back and ready to go for the next burst of damage that your allies are going to be taking. We do have Sacred Protection. Holding a life staff increases the amount of incoming healing to all friendlies. Just a no-brainer, easy passive to take there. Intensify. When you hit your heavy attack, gain a stacking 10% healing effectiveness. Again, another thing that you can do. These buffs last forever. 10 seconds is a long time. You can stack this bad boy up 3 times, get 30% increased healing, especially, you know, if you're kind of cleansing your enemy or cleansing your ally, you can still get that. Or, you know, attacking or heavy attacking the boss, which is probably, we'll go into this a little bit more later, but this is the heavy attack on the life staff is probably what you're going to want to be doing, you know, when you're not using a cooldown. So that's why we have Intensify here. Obviously, Divine Blessing, just the best overall key passive in the life staff. We took it. When you heal an ally below 50%, they are healed for 30% more. Insane, guys. You guys are going to be popping off these massive heals, especially if you hit a Light's Embrace with a bunch of buffs on your tank, and they're below 50%. They're going right back to 100. No problem. Easy game. All right, so Bane Light. After a dodge, you heals for 20% more. I mean, we're going to be dodging anyways, guys. Why not get a healing buff for that? Very powerful. You can even remember to do that before you lay down your Sacred Ground or Beacon. It's great. Protector's Strength. If you have a buff, heal for 10% more. Obviously, you're going to have a buff most likely in group situations, even in solo situations with this build. So why not, again, heal for a lot more. All right, now on to the brand new weapon, the Void Gauntlet. Now, this setup is basically a support setup. I think that this weapon's very versatile. It's just going to depend on what you want to do with it. But for now, we're just trying to do a support build. The first ability that I've chosen is Oblivion. I think Oblivion has a home in every group setting in the game. Someone in your group is gonna want to run Oblivion, and I say, why not the healer? We have that open slot. I don't feel like a lot of these other abilities really apply to support or being supportive to your group, so we chose Oblivion because it is an insane ability. Very, very powerful. Empower to yourself and friendlies, increasing damage by 20%. Now, as you move down this tree, you'll see that it gets even more strong. Your attacks inflict weaken to targets inside the radius, reducing their damage by 5% for 5 seconds per hit. Stacks up to 3 times, so there's a 15% weakness. Very, very powerful in PvE and PvP situations. And the last but not least, Invigorating Oblivion, 15% stamina per second for self and friendlies while inside this radius. You guys are going to see that this build is insanely supportive to stamina, both dodging, blocking, whatever you want to do. You are going to be supporting your teammates in those efforts. Very, very powerful mechanics inside a New World everybody should be utilizing is blocking and dodging, and you're helping be supportive to let them do this very powerful thing more frequently, which is extremely strong. The second ability we took is Orb of Decay. Now, this ability gets really cool with the skill shot, the detonating orb. You'll get a pretty decent AoE heal, 70% of weapon damage. It will increase. It already does 20%, so that's a pretty decent AoE heal that you can use off cooldown. We'll see later on with the Glimpse of the Void that this ability gets even better because you'll be able to kind of double stack these or double use these if done correctly, because orb it's per hit, so you'll get a stack of your Void Essence every time you hit somebody. And dude, this gets insane. You can basically double up these Decay orbs. The last one's Essence Rupture, fire projectile that inflicts Essence Rupture for 10 seconds, healing anyone that hits the target for 20% of damage done. This will allow you to apply this to a boss or someone on the point. That'll help your DPS kind of regen some health with. I think it's a very powerful ability, and it's my third choice. It's definitely more useful in PvE than PvP, but I do think it has a place in PvP. You can kind of stack this on your main target if your group's good at calling out targets, help your group have some sustain while they're doing damage. I think Essence Rupture is very powerful. It also gives 15% stamina when hitting the target. Just again, an insane amount of utility here in this build. And then you have Overflowing Essence. Friendlies with 4 meters of the afflicted target are healed for 80% of your weapon damage when it expires. Another pretty decent AoE heal. Now, this is a little bit going to be limited to your tank or your melee in PvE, but you know, in PvP, obviously putting this on point, it can be a pretty good ability. So a lot of the passives in this tree are maybe not as useful as you would hope to the support role. So yeah, this combination pretty decent for mana management and cooldown reduction. You're not going to really use it a ton for mana management because I don't think you're going to have a lot of problems with mana with this build. But in case you do have that, you know, increased cooldown reduction there. And really, honestly, passives aren't very good. So these are just ones that you kind of end up landing on. Leeching Agony on crit hit, gain health equal to 15% of damage. This is just help your survivability a little bit. Kind of same with this. Dodging with full mana heals you for 80% of weapon damage. This just helps your survivability as a healer. You have mana cost reduction at 25% while above 50% mana. Leeching Bolts, healing from ranged heavy attacks is increased. This helps your survivability. Again, a lot of these are centered around damage and stuff, so you don't really want that. So this is kind of where we land in this passive tree. Extended Suffering. Successful heavy attacks increase the duration of your non-crowd control. Honestly, you're not gonna want to use the Void Gauntlet to attack. Your highest damage output is gonna be your life staff attack with this build. And so you don't really want a heavy and light attack with the Void Gauntlet, to be honest. But this is, again, someplace you land because of the rest of these abilities aren't very good for you anyway. So Mending Evasion, we went through that. This is pretty powerful ability for sustain of your health as a healer. If you're not using your mana, you're just trying to get away from somebody, you can keep healing yourself. It has a 20-second cooldown, which is kind of poor, but just a little bit of a boost of survivability there. The last one is Glimpse of the Void. I wanted to show you Glimpse of the Void in person. Unfortunately, the PTR did shut down, so we're gonna have to use my DPS build to show you. You'll get the picture. You'll have to use your imagination just a tad, but the idea behind Glimpse of the Void is you will get a proc or a stack with each enemy that you hit with your Void abilities. Now, if you see, we kind of get these guys all paired up here a little bit real quick, nice and clean for you. We'll drop our Oblivion and hit with our Orb. And then if you heavy attack, you will get all your cooldowns back. See, we have Oblivion again and Orb again. The purpose of the Glimpse of the Void passive while you're healing especially like in PvP or even in large group PvE settings, maybe you're farming elite zones and anything like that, is you pop that orb on top of your team when it's coming back to you to use your healing. You will then again be able to heavy attack and then reset to be able to get another big burst AoE heal. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. I do think the Void Gauntlet Life Staff combination is the best or most optimal healing setup in New World right now. So a lot of healers are going to be switching to the Void Gauntlet for their back bar. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Don't forget to hit the subscription button, the notification bell for more New World content like this. And we'll see you in the next video.